So we're going to do a paired comparison analysis now. Our client, again, it's a single client, and the focus for this client is prioritizing. These are things you want, and you would like to figure out some order or preference for them.
Yep.
So would you come up and just share a little data with us?
So I basically want to explore my different ideas on a career that I want. I'm going to be graduating in May, so I got to kind of figure that out pretty soon. These are all jobs that I've researched and thought of before, and I kind of have still like interests in doing them once I get out of school. So.
Okay, and can you tell us why those are of particular interest, like what your background or
Yeah.
experiences or desires are around those?
I've always really liked marketing and public relations, and I'm taking a class on it this semester, and I've applied for numerous internships in that field. I also took a museum studies class, and I really liked the curating side. I got to curate a museum exhibit, and I really liked doing that. Teaching has always been like my fallback plan. Like if I can't really find anything, I can go teaching.
No offense to the teachers in the audience.
That is hard.
Just personal preference.
I always, when I first started out in college, I wanted to do event planning, and so I still kind of want to do it a little bit. I'm really good at like planning things, and then a travel agent. I'm really good at like planning vacations and things like that. So I'm very organized with that kind of stuff. So.
Any questions for her?
Is your undergrad in teaching?
My undergraduate is in hospitality, which is where the event planning and
okay.
travel agent come from.
All right, go ahead and have a seat. We're going to have her do this, but again, it's great to have support of a group. So this is something that could have been done just her by herself, but having a group stay while a client does this just brings the energy. So, all right, let me ask you this. All right, here's our rating scale. Slightly more important, moderately, and much more important.
Okay.
All right? So I'm going to ask you a few things about this, and they're going to be forced choices.
Okay.
So, if you had to choose between the job in public relations and museum curator, which would you choose?
Public relations.
All right. And let me ask you how much more you like that one. Slightly, moderately, or you like that particular direction for a career much more?
Moderately more.
Okay, so moderate is a 2. We're going to give the exponent of a 2.
So reminded her on the goal and what she's looking at here.
Yep, and also the
Public
rating
relations
scale.
Against teaching, which would you choose?
Public relations.
She says with a smirk. Moderately more important to you? Slightly, moderately, or much more important?
3, much
That
more.
choice. Okay, so that's a much stronger choice. Public relations against event planner. Which would you choose?
Event planner.
And is it slightly more appealing to you? Moderately more appealing, or much more appealing?
1, slightly.
So she's comparing
Public
option
relations
A
against travel agent. Which
versus
would you
every
choose?
other option.
Travel agent.
And how much more appealing is it to you?
Moderately, so 2.
So very deliberate, one by one.
Curator against teaching.
Curator.
And how much more appealing is it?
2, moderately.
See, she's got the slightly, moderately, much down now, so.
Curator against event planner.
Curator.
How much more appealing?
Slightly.
Museum
It's
curator
1.
against travel agent.
Slightly should be the 1.
It should be 1.
Oh, thank you.
Travel agent.
And how much more appealing? Slightly, moderately, or much?
Moderately.
It's 2, right? Yeah. Good to have friends. Teaching against event planning.
Event planning.
How much more appealing?
Much more.
Teaching against travel agent.
Travel agent.
How much more?
So 3, much more.
And event planner against travel agent.
Travel agent.
How much more?
Slightly. 1.
All right, so now what we're gonna do is add these up and see what your priorities are, according to how you rated them, but it's a forced choice here. So, how many A's do we have?
5.
Oh, sorry, the score is 5.
No, that was good, because because what people will do is they will just do, how many A's, when actually this A is weighted as a 2 and this is a 3. So,
So it's a trick question. What you really want to ask is
public relations.
the weighting of them.
Oh, okay.
See, because that's the weighting. All right, let's look at the B's, find them, add up the exponents.
3.
So see, that language gave them a little more targeted towards what we're looking for.
Which is the weighting.
Travel agent?
8.
8.
Wow, that was the last year.
Yeah.
All right. So now what we have, obviously, with adults, you may not need to put the priorities down here, but we can do that. So first priority is,
She can see the priority, but this helps, gives her a visual. With younger kids, you really need to do that because they have to be able to see it. So the weighting is up there, and now the order in a simpler form is down below, in case you want it.
I don't think that should be on the list.
it really doesn't come out as a priority at all, because it's
Right.
not, all right, so tell us about how it went.
I'm actually kind of surprised at the results because I thought that public relations was a lot higher on my list. And obviously, I think that travel agent is a little bit higher.
Why do you think you rated it higher when you had to choose?
I think it's the opportunities to travel is more, there's more with a travel agent, and I still really want to travel a lot more. So, I mean, you can with public relations, but not as much as you can in travel agent.
Do you see yourself exploring some of these more than others now that you prioritize? What do you see yourself doing?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into doing travel agent more and event planning a little bit more as well, because I didn't realize how high up it was.
Okay, so when you look at them, they're pretty, 5, 4, and 8. They're a step above. 3 is not, but obviously you did some sorting there with some of
Yeah.
it. All right. All right, give her a hand. Let's just debrief this a little bit while we're still here and talk about how this works, and tell us what you noticed with the with this particular tool.
Yes, that it can surprise you because you're putting it up against each other instead of looking at it individually. You're comparing it, and that forces another type of thinking.
All right, so this is different than a lot of the tools we've
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
That whole forced choice, one against, so it's very methodical,
Yeah.
Yeah.
very methodical. People who don't like, people who
Yeah.
never met an idea they didn't like, hate this tool
Yeah.
and find it very valuable.
So that's when you would want to use it?
Yeah. It feels good to watch them too. What else you notice about the tool?
It clarifies thinking, because when you're trying to compare 5 options to each other, it's not as easy as when you compare 1 to 1, and then 1 to 2, and 1 to 3, and that way.
So
it
it
really
simplifies.
organizes it. Yeah.
Yeah, so as opposed to the card sort, which is a nice quick tool, but the first thing you're asked is, which do you like the best? So it won't do the same thing this will do. This one is more powerful in its ability to help you prioritize when you don't see where one is better than the other. And that's, I guess, what you had said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes you be impulsive, and so your true feelings come out.
Yeah. I agree.
So you're forced to just pick which
Yeah.
one.
And sometimes people have trouble picking. They'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm like, gotta pick.
I know. I didn't want to pick some of them,
Yeah.
but I had to, so I did.
Yeah. So you do.
Yeah.
So you do it
Yeah.
forces. Now I can also do the rating scale larger so that these really get sorted out even more.
Yeah.
So I could make this 10, 5, 1, for example, and then we would even see some other priorities, which I might do if my client's really having difficulties and really likes it all, and then we can.
Especially if they're going to come out close.
Right. So that it's not 5, 4, 4, 4.
Right.
I know at first I was confused about the rating scale. I was like, what does those numbers mean? Do they matter? And then I realized she was like, oh, you have to count them up together.
Did you notice that I changed the wording as we went through?
Yeah.
Because this said slightly more important. And I said, I don't know what I said, but I said something else. Slightly more
appealing.
Appealing.
Yeah.
which was a better phrasing for hers.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you might even create the rating scale very specific to the issue that you're working
So that's a generic rating scale that's up there.
in here. Because as I went along, I knew that wording was a little better, so continued with that.
So do you take that chart with you, or do you, I see you have Post-its on the chart, do you do
You
it on
could.
regular paper, or?
A lot of times, if I'm doing it with a group, it's on paper. Now, the reason I could have her do it on a little one, but if the group is there, and the group is involved in helping her do a creative problem-solving session, and so they're involved in the generating when it's needed, she does the selecting, we may be taking this and going on to another step of the process that you all would be involved in. So now you're completely up to speed with where she's at because you've watched her, as opposed to her doing it on a little sheet of paper. So this is for public viewing, even though it's hers. But I have them on little sheets and do it in little sheets most of the time if I'm having people do it.
Is it best to use this with mutually exclusive ideas so that you could only either be a public relations expert or a teacher, or you could just be a travel agent or an event planner? You couldn't be both. So is it best to use in situations where it's that black and white?
Take it back to the focus of the tool. The focus of the tool is prioritizing. So works really well with distinct. Could it work with others? I suppose. But the idea is, think of the function. Do I need to prioritize? If I'm looking at things that are similar, and I might do that, and there's a bunch of them, maybe it's clustering or something else. But each tool has a
You want to be able to separate out
Right.
the ideas so that they're
not
distinct.
as critical that these are absolutely distinct. In the matrix, critical. Well, maybe that's not true. I don't know. It does work better with distinct. Anything else?
I used the tool once and I had a larger one like that and then had each person in the resource group do their own prioritizing for themselves just to reflect for the client so the client could ask them their opinions and get if they had,
Nice.
because some people might have experience in those different categories and that
Nice.
seemed to help them.
Plus, it also keeps them
Keeps them
engaged.
doing,
They learn
yeah.
another tool. So, great. Other ways you've used it or could see using it?
I think you can use it to like further clarify what you want to do after the matrix.
Or in this case, the PCA.
After the matrix,
Yeah.
but not before.
Oh, after
It's
the
another
matrix.
powerful tool to bring out. But if you've kind of messed with the matrix, you've looked at the strengths and weaknesses, and you're still going, okay, I got some I like. I'd like to continue to make some decisions.
Yeah.
You may or may not.
Usually you wouldn't, but
Right. You might use it in combination after highlighting, let's say.
Hey, nice work. Nice
The other thing, this was a great example of in the simplest form with an individual client. You can also use this with a group client where you have each individual do a PCA and then put the results into a group grid.
and that's very powerful. This is a particularly good tool for that, and we do model the grid as well.